Hey guys, we're with Camel ADV. We're going to do the install video for the fixed rear brake pedal on the Yamaha T7. The installation is quite straightforward and pretty quick. If you have a center stand or crash bars that tie in down by the foot peg, you're going to have a little bit more work to do, but it is still very straightforward. I'm going to show you what's involved, what tools you need, and we'll get at it. So of course we need the brake pedal itself. It has all the bits and pieces in it. 12 mil wrench, a 10, an 8. We need a 4 mil Allen, a 5 mil Allen. I've got some 1/4 inch drive stuff here and 3/8. You don't need both. The only reason I'm doing this is I'm going to break some bolts loose with the 3/8 drive, and then I'm going to spin them out quickly with the impact. You don't need an impact. If you have one, then great. It'll speed things up for you. 3/8 ratchet, needle nose pliers, side cutters, and some sort of pointy instrument. An awl works well, or a small screwdriver. There's a plastic clip holding a wire on that we need to get at, so just something to pop that open. And red and blue Loctite. You should have Loctite already. It's a staple in the adventure world in my opinion. So this is the foot peg carrier here, foot peg mount. It also, the brake pedal pivots on it, so we need to take this off. It attaches down to the mock frame rail here that skid plates mount to. And then over here we have our master cylinder. The first and last thing you do should be this nut. So we're just going to crack that loose. If you don't crack it loose now and you pull this pin out, you're going to have a really hard time getting this out. There's a cotter pin here with the clevis pin. We need to get that off. Yours is going to be, the key is going to be on the back side. This one I put it on the front so you can actually see it when we're taking it apart. I can't get the camera in from the back. The easiest way to do this, if you go and try and move this pin, the cotter pin, you can see that the clevis pin turns. So if you grab the brake pedal and put some pressure on the brake, it puts some pressure on that clevis pin and it doesn't spin as easily. It's easiest to do if you wear a glove, because these cleats are digging into my hand right now and it's a little bit unpleasant. The OEM cotter pin is lighter duty than the one that's currently in here. Like I said, I changed it over, but you can straighten these guys out. And then usually I'll take a pair of side cutters and you can actually grab the pin and then you can twist it out. Pop that pin out like so. So from the factory, there is some Loctite on some of these parts, so you will probably have to break these loose with a regular ratchet. And then if you have a small impact, you can spin them out that way. This one's been on and off a couple of times, so that's not something we're going to have to deal with. So all of these fasteners are 12 mil heads, so that's nice. One socket to make it happen. This is the plastic clip I was talking about. So this is the brake light activation switch, and there's this plastic clip. So we can't pop this whole thing out until we get a little bit of slack on that. Easy enough. Grab your awl and just put it behind the clip here to pop that guy open. Like so. So on the back side of your brake pedal here, we've got, this is the brake light activation switch, and it is a 4 mil Allen. These guys can be quite tight. They've got Loctite on them. So you want to make sure that you take your awl, make sure that you don't have any dirt in the head here. We want maximum engagement with that Allen key or socket. Get it in as deep as you can and then break it loose. Again, this stuff was just off, so it's not super tight. It's not Loctited right now. And then right here you can see the See the loop for the spring assembly, and just take that off. And then we're gonna go stick this in the vise. You don't have to put this in the vise to take it apart. It's just easier for me that I've got the camera. I can get this in a good spot and you can see it better. Again, we've got some Loctite on that bolt, so it can be a bit of a pain to get out. A ratchet with the 12 mil socket on it. And we can set this all aside. We're not going to reuse any of it. So the original plan with the foot brake or the pedal assembly and all the parts was that we were going to ship it completely assembled, spring and everything on here, bolt, and you could just take it out and stick it on. The problem is the grease. So we have to grease the sleeve into the bushings, and of course when we do that you get grease coming out. There's no way to really put it on cleanly and exactly where you need it. It just kind of creeps everywhere, migrates. So you get a little bit of grease on your hand, and then you start assembling things, and then there's grease everywhere. The pedal's covered in grease, the box is covered in grease. We're trying to tape boxes, we got stuff all over our fingers. Unless you wash your hands after every single one, and it just doesn't work. So these ones have the sleeve through, and then they're zippy wrapped to keep it in this general area. At some point in the next little bit, the sleeve is going to not be installed, and there'll be a small tube of grease so you guys can do it just to keep everything cleaner. It gives you a better experience when you open this and there's grease, you know, in this area. It's a pain, it's all over your hands. So you'll be able to do it yourself. It'll be a little better experience. So you guys that ordered in this batch, you're going to have the sleeve already in the bushings. It's already greased. If you are ordering one and the sleeve isn't installed yet, between the two bushings there's a groove. So you're going to break the tab off the little tube of grease, and you're going to squirt some in there, try and get as much in the groove between the two brass bushings as you can, and then you're going to slide this guy in like so. And because we're going to put Loctite on the bolt, we need to make sure that the threads on the bolt aren't covered in grease, which is also part of the problem with sending this to you guys pre-greased. It makes it difficult to do that. So you're going to want to clean out if there's any in the sleeve here, just give it a quick wipe. And then when we put the bolt through, you want to clean the threads off real quick. So we've got the back of the pedal, we have our new spring, and the leg that's pointed straight down is going to tuck into this corner here, and then this 90-degree is going to snap over that pin. And then we're going to take our big washer here, our bolt, put the big washer over top, and there's a small stainless washer that's going to go on right after, and then that slides through like so. And then on this other side, we're going to put the small washer. And again, like I said, just if there's anything on the threads here on the bolt, just give them a quick wipe. And then we want to put some red Loctite on here. When we install this, we're going to make sure that this leg of the spring here drops into that hole, like so. So there were some comments online after we put up our intro video for this part. I had shown everybody the factory one. You push it down and then it kind of was creeping up. It wasn't coming all the way up, and that this one comes all the way up. This is just a cutout here. It's not a hard stop. You can see on the factory pedal, if this thing was resting up against here, there would be a wear mark on the top of here. These don't actually touch on most bikes. They're sitting down about a 1/4 inch, so it's not a matter of the factory pedal sitting here and not being able to be hyperextended, and ours being able to be hyperextended. That's not the situation, and I didn't do a very good job of explaining that in the intro video. I kind of overlooked that comment. So just be aware that this isn't supposed to sit against here on the factory pedal or with ours. So we're going to install this back on the bike. Inside your factory clevis, there is a jam nut. So when you turn this thing out, just make sure that you don't lose the nut. So that falls out of the middle there, and we'll set that aside. And then we're going to take our offset clevis, and this, either removing the cotter pin or this, they're kind of the two most annoying steps. So we've got the bolt in here. The flats on the nut are the same size as the flats on the clevis, but it can be a bit tricky getting this to start on the threads. That one actually went nice and easy. So you might have a little swearing and some aggravation doing that. Sometimes they go nice and easy like that, and sometimes they don't. Take our bolt here for the brake activation switch, little dab of blue. So we're going to hook the end of the spring through the small hole here in the brake activation switch adjuster. Get this guy started. It's on an angle, so it's kind of goofy. So when you do it, you might want to pull the lever a little bit. There's a little tab here. You want to get the brake switch straight and have that tab bottomed out on the housing here. So just make sure that this is oriented the right direction. Okay, so with that done, we are going to, this guy slides behind the faux frame mount here, like so. And then we can pick a bolt to start with. I grabbed the top one here, which is an 8 mil. These other guys are 10s, so it's 8 mil thread. The one that's got the hollowed out head, we're gonna start with that one. Not for any particular reason other than it's an easy one to get everything started and hanging. And you want to get all these fasteners started before you tighten any of them up all the way. Most of the stuff is slotted or drilled oversize. So if you put one bolt in and then tighten it the entire way, you'll have a real hard time getting the other one started. So we've got all 5 of those started, so we can snug them up. Got our master cylinder bolts here, the M8 button heads. And the clevis, we'll slide the pin through. And then we've got our cotter pin. You can put the cotter pin on the back side. It'll look a little bit better, but it is a little trickier to get it bent over, get it started. So again, put some pressure on the pedal. And get these guys started to bend over. I'm right-handed and I'm trying to do this left-handed to stay out of the way of the video, and it's causing some issues here. And once you get them started, you can put one end of the needle nose into the hole and grab the leg with the other one and finish bending them over. So you now need to get on your bike, you need to stand on it, you need to figure out where you want your pedal adjusted. The adjustment is the same as from the factory. So that bolt here that I said was going to be the last thing, it's actually second last thing. I wasn't totally telling you the truth. We're looking across the foot peg here. So this brake pedal is almost exactly level. Depending on the height of your foot pegs, you're gonna have to adjust the pedal to find a good spot. If you ride off-road a lot, you're probably gonna have this guy up a little bit. If you are more street rider, you're gonna have it down a little bit. We've got a few emails from people asking about, hey, does that work with lowered foot pegs? The answer is yes and no, depending on how much lowered your pegs are. Somebody was asking about a 2-inch lowered pegs. This is probably not a great product for you. So you're gonna run out of adjustment here. You're gonna run out of room. If you crank this thing down so the foot brake is down 2 inches, you're going to run out of travel before you get where you wanna be. So just make sure with whatever you're doing, you like your brake pedal really low to begin with, or you do have lowered pegs. Just make sure when you push on it, give it a good push. You want to make sure that you're not bottoming out on the casing here. Make sure that you have travel left. So we're going to adjust this. We've got the nut here that's 12 mil, and then we've got a 10 mil hex cut into the push rod. And as we turn this, you can see the pedal is dropping. So that's how you adjust this height. So that's too low for what we want. We're going to come back up. So it'll be about there. So once that's done, we're going to spin the jam nut down. We're going to take our 10 mil wrench, put it on the hex on the shaft, and then to hold it from turning, and then we're going to take our 12 mil and tighten that jam nut. And now our brake pedal's done. The last thing is the small bolt here, brake light activation switch. So you can see I'm pushing and you can see this moving here. So you need to make sure that this nut or bolt is backed way out. It needs to be backed out a lot more than you think it does. So we've got this little tab here and you can see it sliding, and then we're putting a little bit of tension on the spring. So I'm turning the ignition on. You want the pedal to be able to move a hair before it comes on. This whole arrangement is the same as the factory. So you can adjust that according to the Yamaha directions. So this one I've got it set so the pedal moves 2 or 3 millimeters, and then the brake light comes on. That's it, that's all. The fixed rear brake pedal is installed on our Yamaha T7. Thanks for watching.
Ho ho!